In this episode of the Manna Journey, Phillip Ullmann heads to Windsor and Eton FC to meet Richard Endacott, Paul Mitchell and Mark Cooper, three community leaders reviving football from the ground up. Together, they explore the power of sport, education and local resilience in rebuilding a broken system.
Okay, Mark, what is your involvement with the Windsor and Eton Football Club?
My involvement here is one of co-owner, first of all, and also chairman of the senior section of the club. The senior section is essentially the under-18s, the men's team, women's team, and the vets team. That's
teams.
14. Well, four senior teams.
4 senior teams.
And we also have the youth section, which are 40 youth teams strong, girls, boys.
Wow.
But my role is looking after the senior section of the club.
And how long have you been involved?
Since we started, which was 2 years ago this summer. So June 23, we got off the ground here. That was as we reformed again as Windsor and Eton Football Club. And that's the format. That's when we formed it, and that's when I've been involved in.
So tell me the story. What's happened over this last couple of years?
Well, the last couple of years, it's been a bit of a journey already for us. So we started, as I say, in the summer of 2023 when we were given this wonderful stadium on a long lease from the Crown Estate.
You weren't here originally?
Well, we formed as a new club 2 years ago. So we are, to give you a bit of history, Windsor and Eton Football Club played here for nearly 100 years. And unfortunately, the team back then, or the club back then, went bust. And they went bust in 2010-11.
Okay.
And then a new club was formed here at Windsor Football Club. And 2 years ago, they moved over to Beaconsfield.
From this picture?
From this one to Beaconsfield. And that's when the new club, Windsor and Eton Football Club, started again. And we were able to have that name, Windsor and Eton, again, because it had been dormant for 10 years, the name. So the FA allowed us to have that great name back, and we reformed as a club then. And since then, we were, like I say, formed in the June. We appointed a manager very, very quickly. He had about 3 weeks to get a team together. And the management team did a great job and managed to get promoted in their first season. So
how? I mean, that sounds absolutely crazy. You're starting up from scratch.
Yeah.
Promotion within a year. How did you achieve it?
Well, I think everyone associated with the club would say it wasn't as plain sailing as it might sound. It was a little bit of a bumpy road. And in the end, we came third in the league and got promoted by default, because the two teams at the top of the league weren't able to get promoted because they didn't have the facilities to get promoted. So whilst I don't want to do the management team an injustice to say that we got promoted by default, that's what happened, and we obviously accepted that promotion very happily. And to be fair, this season's been very, very different. They've been absolutely outstanding. We're currently sitting top of the league above, and we're
hopefully on for another promotion.
Hopefully on for another promotion.
So tell me a bit about the history. So the former club went bust.
Yep.
It then disappeared for a couple of seasons, and the name went
with it.
So what are you doing differently? Which means that you're not repeating the history of what happened to your predecessors.
Good question. So I think first and foremost, this is more about the community than a team. This is about getting everyone involved in the club. So it's essentially everyone's club, and that everyone feels a part of that club. And so that we have just created a culture that a lot of the players want to be a part of, the management team want to be a part of, and the local community come here and feel like it's really a part of them as well. Now, that doesn't get away from what you've asked me in terms of how do you do it differently in terms of from a financial point of view, but we're trying to grow a self-sustainable football club where, irrespective of one person leaves or people come and go, it can stand on its own 2 feet. And that's what we're trying to do.
So you're creating a community. So how do you create a community from a football club watching 11 players running around a football pitch? How does that happen?
One of the things we've tried to do, we're in a slightly different world now with social media and different ways of getting the local club out to the local community. There are a couple of really significant things here. One is the youth section's involvement in the club. So we have a fantastic youth section, and by involving that youth section with the hub of the club, which is Stag Meadow, we are able to draw more people in. Where whilst our ambition is to change this lovely grass pitch to a 3G surface so we can play all the youth teams down here, and which will bring even more involvement from the children and the local community and the parents and everyone else involved. But ultimately, we're doing more and more as a collective, which wasn't there before. So there was no synergy between the youth section and the senior section previously.
Right.
And that's been a fundamental change.
So what are you doing for the youth? I mean, it's a community club. Obviously, has to benefit the community. How do the community benefit from? What's the idea? How are you going to deliver value to the community? What's the concept?
The concept is, and has been from the outset, is to, like I said, if we change this to what is essentially an artificial surface, a 3G pitch.
It's artificial.
3G pitches are artificial.
I didn't realise it's actually artificial.
And that will enable us to have football here 24/7. At the moment, we can only really host 2 games on the grass pitch before it just deteriorates to a level where you can't play any more games. So by changing this to a 3G facility, we'll then be able to create a real hub, which is bringing the ability to have children playing here all day.
I understand it's a community interest company that you've set up. How will they benefit by being part of the movement? What do they actually gain? How will the players gain? How will the people to watch? What are they actually going to gain?
I think they'll just, in the first instance, probably get a nicer experience,
right?
And they will also feel a much bigger part of the club, because whilst they'll come down and watch the men's team on a Saturday afternoon, or for the girls, come and watch the women's team on a Sunday afternoon here, there is that connection already, but that will just keep growing even more if they are able to play on this pitch, be around this place more and more. And that will drive, I think, a real sense of belonging and community.
So you're actually building effectively a community around the players.
What you do create is 300 people recognising the same faces, and I think it's great for those people's well-being as well to feel such a part of something as well.
I think it's very important what you describe. It's fascinating because, in general, community has kind of disintegrated over the last however many 20, 30 years. In my area, there were loads of pubs, and the pub was often a centre. Look, I'm not a big pub goer, but I know that the community focused around pubs, but I think there's been a kind of breakdown in both family and community. And it's interesting that you're starting to rebuild a community. Why did you think there was a need for rebuilding community? The
need was quite obvious in many respects, because, like you say, by and large, a lot of community spirit has moved away. Essentially, has broken down. And when you see the structure of this place with all the youth teams, all the good local people, with this great place in the middle of Windsor Great Park, and the ability to create a hub where everyone can come together on once, twice a week and familiarise themselves with the surroundings and the people and the warmth here. And if you come here on a match day, you'll get a real sense of that. And we've had children come down who may struggle a little bit with mental health or other things, and this is a real place that they feel like it's feel home to them. And I think we've certainly achieved some good things in that. I think we've got a load more things that we can do on that too.
Do you think there's potential to take what you're doing here at a relatively small level? Has it got potential? Is it important within the wider world of football that community comes back into it?
I think what you will do, we had National Non-League Day on Saturday, and unfortunately, and that happens once a year when it's the England International and there's no big Premier League games or League One games and Championship. Mostly on that day, what we find is we have a huge number of people who just come and support non-league, and the feedback we always get is that the sense of community is just you can't match that if you scale that up to someone like an Arsenal.
Right.
And whilst it is scalable to a level, it is obviously difficult to replicate that when you're dealing with tens of thousands of people. But there are many, many clubs, I think, and the non-league game is full of these local clubs who have got a real sense of community, who are not dissimilar to what we're trying to achieve.
And do you think it's important that the community is rebuilt? Do you think that there's a need to start to bring that community, not just at grassroots level, throughout the system?
Oh, undoubtedly, and just in our small time, in our experience here, we felt that community pool and that community feel is just it's just a wonderful experience to be part of, and I think it's certainly there needs to be more of it.
And are the people, the crowd meeting outside? So if they, I don't know how, on a Saturday or whatever, in midweek games, is this going to be filled with families? Is it father and son, or is our families come together? Are people staying after the game and drinking together? What describe to me the atmosphere at a typical home game?
You'll see a lot of people. We kick off at 3:00, and you'll see a lot of the same faces, similar faces. They do the same, follow the same patterns. They're sitting in the same areas of the bar. They're talking to different people, same people. The burger stand, everyone knows who's eating what. They're very familiar with everyone around the ground. And after the game, and even away games, a lot of these, we're taking 70, 80 local people to away games, and we all catch up, and they all have a drink together and share stories on the week they've had.
So what's the dream? So you've got involved. You put money into helping this grow. What is the dream? What is your objective? Somebody, a successful business person, coming along to a football club which has been struggling. What's in it? What's in it for you? What is the dream?
The dream for me is to see us create this hub of the community where we have a 3G pitch here. We have football, we have girls, women, men, boys, disability team, vets team, all playing here, all being here, and the bar's full, the cafe's full, everyone's having a really great time. And whilst we're building that, we'd like to see a good team on the pitch as well, men and women, and go up the football pyramid to as good a level as we can aspire to.
So why do you think football is important in general? So you've got and hopefully 40 teams eventually. Why is football important to the community in general, or to the people that are playing? Why is football important?
Football's our national game, and there is a great demand for it, and people love this game that we've had for so many years. We have a big passion for it. I've got a big passion for it. The community love nothing better than come and watch their local team. But not just that, we've got the women's side of the game is really exciting for me as well, and that's growing week on week. The more people we get down here every Sunday watching the women's team play, and that is a huge area of growth that we can look to as well. And I think that is, just think that the women weren't allowed to play football in this country for so many years, and now we've got this great story now where we've just started our women's team this year, and again they're top of their league in the first year and hopefully replicating what the men's did.
What's very interesting about football is each individual has their own role, but they can't achieve anything without the team. In your estate agents, I'm sure an estate agent who's good could make money to an extent with their own skills.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think that's what you've seen is there's a unique need for the team to work. If the team doesn't work on the football pitch, you're not going to score.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why there's huge potential to start to look at the model of the way a good football team works, which I think you're extending to the crowd.